Okay, let's continue to the next topic today about the life cycle assessment, right? And also, before we know about the life cycle assessment, why important? Nowadays, we know about the driving force of the commercials, right? Around the world, they concerns about like a environmental impact, like a environmental issue nowadays because we know about like a global warming and climate change, right? And also we have to make some like the cooperation with the other country to reduce the amounts of the impact in like a global terms, right? And also EU they also have some like the diving board for commercial about the pollution prevention through the products, right? That's why the product the life cycle of product is very important. Like in during 1992, they talks about like IPP or integrated product policies, right? They recommend about to to uh, to make some product, you have to know about the life cycle assessment of product. Uh, for this course, I'm focused on like the solid waste, right? But before become to the solid waste, you have to know during the product use and before product use. That means the manufacturing, right? And before go to the manufacturing, like we have to turn to like the original material. If we know the impact of like all process of the life cycle, we have to make some tackle which process we can reduce the amount of the environmental impacts, right? Uh, from the last 20 years or long time ago, they concerns about the life cycle assessment of the product, especially in like electronic waste and also about the hazardous material that's contained in the products, right? We know that it contains a lot of like the heavy metal or like the toxic materials, right? And also that's why we have to focus on that product. But nowadays, not only electronic products or hazardous material, for the general waste like the plastic waste or paper or anything, we have to concerns about the environmental impact because um, some kind of the product as I ever show you about like the biodegradable products or sometimes they talk about like made from natural, but not only not 100% is can degradable, something like that. That's why we have to know about like the all material that's prepared to make the manufacturing to like that product. We have to know each process uh, to calculate about how much of impact, right, on the environment. And also why I'm focused on the environment, uh, not only the limit into the environment, right, but if we live in like the environment in that area, also we can impact or like a human health impact also. uh, 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 this is like the strategy to reduce the amount of environmental impact, not only impact like emission release into the environment, but for the life cycle assessment, we have to concern about the resource also. If we know the original material, we have to know the resource, right? For example, if we talk about like the aluminum can, we have to know the aluminum can is made from like aluminiums, right? The original of the aluminium and also during the processing of aluminium before transfer to the manufacturing, right? We have to think about that also during the processing of aluminium. Also produce the amount of like the greenhouse gas or like consume like natural resources, something like that. And also the competition in the world market and resource during the resource depletion. We have to think about like the greens, right? The solution to serve the environment and use in like the resource in terms of like sustainables, right? We have to think about the green process and also green process. Does not it mean like the uh, low impact of environment, but we have to think about like the resource also. There is the consumption of the original resource and also the green competitive need. The 1, 2 of the environmental 2, as I talked about like the clean technology for this course, right? The clean technology is like the whole figure, but the life cycle assessment of also is like a one strategy under the clean technologies, based on like the one series of the ISO series, about the environmental management system, like a 14,000 series of the ISO that talks about like a life cycle assessment. And also after we try to analyze, apply the LCA or life cycle assessment in the product, the production analyze, we get something to make some like the new design or change some process or like make some recycling from some process to reduce the amount of environmental impact. It's become to like a eco design or like a design for environment, or sometimes it's changed to like a new product, something like that. This is we have to use the information of the LCA. That's I'm talks about like the LCA is under the series of the environmental management system, like ISO 14,000 version 2015 that talks about like the LCAs, right? It's like one part to apply this ISO. Maybe you have to analyze the LCA, apply the LCA for your product. It's like a 1, 2, 1, 2, 2 assess about the environmental impact also. And LCA is also related to the other series of this ISO, like a carbon footprint of the product and carbon footprint of organization. I don't talk about this because this is like related to the other costs, right? And for the life cycle assessment or LCA is like one technique for assessing the environmental aspect and potential impact throughout the products, right? The product that means from the cradle to the grave, like the form like natural resources, uh, uh, and transfer to like the manufacturing process, right? And during uses and after use, it's become to waste, right? It's like this final disposal process we call like a cradle to grave. The environmental impact, that means like the impact of the environment in terms of like the natural resources, ecological impact, global warming impact, ozone depletion, or like air emission, and also it can impact on like a human health or human toxicity. This is includes in like an environmental impact. That is the result from the LCA. Uh, uh, LCA assessment that we can apply for the product assess. And the type of the life cycle assessment, for this course, I will focus on like the only two parts of the life cycle assessment. The first type we call like a cradle to grave. That means we will analyze, apply the LCA for analyze the product from like a resource, and then go to gate of the industry, and transfer to manufacturing process and distribution. During distribution, maybe we can consume a lot of like energy or fuels. It can cause of like the environmental pollutions, right? We have to include the transportation in each step also. We have to know how much of energy, how much of like electricity that we use, how much of the natural resources like chemical, waters, or like electricity, something like that. We have to know in every step what is the input and what is the output, right? And after distribution, normally it stops to the gate, right? During the gate, this like this figure cradle to gate, cradle to gate, that means like the business, or we can call like a business to business or B2B. That means you can set the scope of LCA assessment during the resource until go to uh, uh, distribution. That means from the cradle to the gates of your industry. This is like we can set the scope only this, right? This is we can call the business to business. in the case of if your product is not like the complete product, just the one part of product, maybe others company have to use your product to make the like the final product. For example, like part of like a part of electric car, something like that. You make some like the battery, and then uh, that is for like a product um, of your industry, right? But it cannot use. You have to put in the car, something like that. That's and make form like the origin uh, the final product from the other company. We call like a cradle to gate. And but for the cradle to gate, that means you can analyze your product from resource until use and end of their life. The final process end of the life is related to these subjects, right? That is the solid waste, or it become two waste. At the end of life, we can design the end of life of the products by landfilling and incineration or recycling process, something like that. This is the amount of environmental impact is quite different in each steps, right? Especially if the product designed for recycling, something like that, maybe the impact of the environment may be reduced from like original products, right? Uh, uh, okay. I will talk later about like a recycling process in life cycle assessment. This we call like a business to the customer. That means we can analyze from the original resources until we come to the product and after use and transfer to the customer already, but it's quite different from the cradle to gate, right? Uh, that's why I will focus on the cradle to gate for the life cycle assessment. But some industry, they can analyze the LCA only and on their industry, like a gate to gate. It also can do, depend on their scope. But normally, if you want to get the label or guarantee about like the green label or like an eco label, you have to do the LCA based on like a cradle to the gate. If you do only gate to gate or cradle to gate, maybe you cannot get the certificate in like a high certificate for like a eco label or something like that. And also the product life cycle, as I said, we have to know the input and output on each step. Uh, for example, like the first step is like a material extraction before like uh, downstream process. Is I separate it like a downstream process, right? Before transfer the product, the material into the industry, we call like a material extraction. That's I give you example about the aluminiums, right? During the also the plastic. If you want to make the plastic bag, the original of the plastic material extraction, that is like the petroleum, right? During the petroleum process, it consumes a lot of like the energy, fuels, and also release the environmental impacts like air pollution or atmospheric pollutions, right? You have to include all input and output from each process until from like the material extraction, and after extract you can get like the raw materials, right? And then transfer to manufacturing. During this process, maybe some person they focus only step two, but if you do only step two, that means gate to gate, right? Maybe you cannot get the guarantee of like the high level of uh, the eco labels about your products. And after manufacturing, during the distribution, we have two concerns about the distribution. Also, during distribution, maybe we have things about like the cost, about the energy consumption or like a fuel consumption, and maybe the type of the fuel is also important, like diesel or benzene, something like that. Uh, and the distance is also important. We have to calculate based on like the type of fuels and distance, and because uh, 1 liter of different fuels it can produce different amount of the air pollutions, right? Different of the carbon dioxide emission or like the sulfur emission, something like that. And after distribution, the product is used from like the customers, right? The customer during use, but some process during use is consume a lot of the energy also, like the laptop computer, like a mobile phone, something like that. During use, also they have to consume like the energy or electricity, something like that. But some product during usage, maybe the environmental impact during usage may be lower than some products, right? Depend on their function. And after use, that's why we have to know about in each process, right? If we know the impact, environmental impact in each process, we can track, right? Select only one process that we know which process we have to improve or we have to reduce the amount of the emission, something like that. And after use, the next process is very important, like the end of life management. Some product it cannot recycle, right? If cannot recycle and you put onto the land, maybe after degradation or for long time, it can leach about like the hazardous material or something like that. It can cut and affect or like the for long term environmental pollution, right? It can contaminate in soil waters and groundwater, something like that. The where the amount of impact is quite different. If some product is can reuse, right, the impact is maybe is lower than like the original management of the end of life, right? Maybe it's transferred to recycling process, but during the recycling process also consume a lot of the like the energy also for like the cleansing process or like maybe we have to input waters to make some cleansing process, right? And sometimes we have to input like electricity, something like that. And also, but sometimes the recycling station is quite far, something like that. We have to think about like the cost for the transportation and the emission released into the environment and energy consumption during the transport. For the recycling process also, we have to include the value of impact on that process also. This is show like the product life cycle. And this is show like the white paper processing. We have to know about the original of paper is made from tree, right? You can look at this, the symbol plus is the plus that mean like the raw material, right? This symbol is mean like the consume the energy in that process and the stream energy and waste, right? You can see in each step like a tree extraction, the cellulose pulp, and then we have to during the make some tree plantings, right? Before go to the raw material, we have to cut, right? For the cutting tree, during the cutting tree, maybe we have to use the energy, and also for the transportation, we have to input like the energy also, and during consume the energy. Maybe the air emission is released to the environment during this process, right? And after that, you can go to like the next step, like wood just we have to use like water, and also for debarking, something like that, and trimming, we have to use like the energies, right? And energy, and also use become to like a raw material and transfer to like the process, like a manufacturing process, right? And also go to the like a make some craft and like the screening, benching, screening, and then water cleaner, something like that. And also after use, right? After the distribution, become to like a waste, right? We have to think about this: it can recycle or not, and if sometimes we can if we like the first time to make the LCA. The LCA that you can like you can apply for the product to know about of how much of impact. If you know the impact, maybe you can compare to the same product of the other company at the same function, something like that. And also you can compare the same product but different company. Amount of the environmental impact is quite same, or our product is lower or higher, and this for comparisons, right? But for the other objective, maybe you can apply the LCA for analyze your product life cycle, only know uh, how much of impact, and try to reduce like an improvement of your product to reduce the amount of environmental impact also. This is depend on you apply the LCA depend on like your objective and your scope to comparisons, or like to improve your product, or for just try to add some part or reduce some chemical, it can reduce the impact or not, or which process is like high impact, try to focus on that process, something like that, to improve their manufacturing process. Depend on the objective. LCA is just the concept to analyze, but how we can use the LCA depend on your focus, or like depend on your objective and your scope. This is show like the life cycle state and boundary. You have to set the scope. It's like you have to know about like you want to analyze only cathode to gate, or cathode to gate, or gate to gate, or like cathode to cathode, something like that. Depend on you, depend on your set the boundary. But if after you set the boundary, you have to know about the input, energy input in each step, in the raw material and natural resources. And after you know the input, you can estimate the outputs, right? Like if you use the energy consumption in the material procurement and distribution, you know the air emission will occur on this stage, right? And for the material, maybe during the produce and distribution, is consumed like the water for the process, something like that. And you can estimate the output, maybe it can cause of the water pollution, something like that, like a water emission. It can cause of like the environmental pollution and toxicity is distribute in the water's body, something like that. And also for the natural resources during use, maybe after use it's become to like the plastic waste, or like the electronic waste, something like that. We have to know about the input and output of the boundary that you set up to apply the LCA for your product. This is show like the life cycle assessment framework. Before you start the LCA, you have to set the goal and scope. I don't want to go the deep details, right? I just want to show you about the framework. But if you learn other subject, maybe I will uh, uh, assign you to try to use the program to analyze the LCA, the goal and scope. You have to set up, right? And also after that, if you know the scope, for example, if you want to analyze like the milk packet, something like that, and then try to find information that you want to analyze, um, uh, like and for the next step is like inventory analysis. You have to know what is the input, what is the output, right? How much of chemical use, how much of energy use, and also what is the output that it can estimate, right? And also the next process is impact assessment. After inventory analysis, we will know like the carbon dioxide emission, for example, like if we use the fuels, right? The sulfur dioxide emission, carbon dioxide emission, and methane emission, something like that. And then the impact we can group uh, uh, the LCA, they will calculate about like the emission it can cause of like a impact. What is the impact, right? Like the methane, it can impact on the global warming, something like that. They can group of the impact and then make some like the other process like interpretation. And what is the benefits of the LCA is that for the direct application, for example, if you have information about the LCA, like after interpretation, you can develop your like your product or improve your product uh, to reduce the amount of environmental impact, and also strategic planning, public policy for like to make the policy to uh, make some encourage about like the industry to apply about the LCA to make the label or like the guarantee of the product about the uh, eco products, something like that, and also the marketing and others. It can use the information of the LCA to apply, right? And this is show like the basic concept of LCA and general procedure. This is I just want to show you about the in each steps, right? To make the LCA. Like for example, if you forgot the product is like the car, right? You have to know the each part to make the car like from the raw material and transportation to like the material to the industries, right? And then in each part of the material to make the assembly of the product. And after you get the product is car, you have to know the function about the how use and like the repair, and also this after use maybe is have like a disassembly, but because some part is can recycle, something like that, we can transfer some part reuse and recycle turn to like a manufacturing process again, something like that. If you can reduce the amount of waste transferred to incineration and landfills, right? Maybe it can save the resource, natural resource, right? From this process, maybe the LCA, the impact of LCA is maybe reduced. Impact of the environment it can reduce by this process. And also after you start up the school and research, go to find information to inventory. What is the input? What is the output that I said? And then uh, analyze. After analyze, we will know the impact, right? The impact, like we from step 2 inventory analysis, we will know about the what is the output, right? Like a carbon dioxide, sulfur, NOx or nitrous oxide, something like that. And also we can know in next step, like the impact assessment. The impact assessment mean like evaluate the impact on the natural environment. Like we know the carbon dioxide is can cause of global warming, right? And convert into like a global warming impact. We have to after analyze, we will know the result interpretation, like or if we know which step it can cause of like maybe not only during the processing, right? Maybe the impact is high environmental impact instead of the usage during the customer use, something like that. This is we can like design a new product to reduce the amount of impact during use, something like that. This is like we can group it like the global warming and result interpretation to use the benefits of information of the LCA. And the impact assessment, sometimes if we know the impact, we can assess the impact of the LCA impact of the products. Maybe it can separate in like the two types of the impact, like midpoint and endpoint. The midpoint may be some impact. Some impact is like the impact is like low impact, something like that. And some impact we can analyze like the final impact, like an endpoint of the product. Like if we know the impact of the plastic waste and the after use it's become to the solid waste, right? And we transfer to like a recycling process. Maybe we can save the resource of the original natural products like natural material resources, like the petroleum, something like that. This is maybe we call like an endpoint of the impact, right? But some impact is like just only respiratory disease or like the drying forest cancer, something like that. But sometimes it can occur during the assessment. We call like the midpoint. Maybe it's like a short terms, right? But for like a long term, it's like a global warming or like the natural resources. Sometimes we have to analyze like all process. The result is like a endpoint of the impact, something like that. And also this is we can use the information of the LCA to compare the different environmental impact like a greenhouse gas emission of the car product in the two types of the car. You can see this graph. Normally, if we concerned about the greenhouse gas emission, we can calculate LCA is can calculate based on like a kilogram of carbon dioxide equivalent, right? And also we can know from this graph, you can see the blue color, right? Light blue is represent in driving. That means driving, that means dwelling uses, right? Dwelling we use the car. During we drive car, something like this, it can consume a lot of the energies, right? It a lot of the fuels. It can release about a lot of the greenhouse gas emission during you use the cars, right? That's after we analyze, it show like this. Maybe the material to make the car, is like a low impact on the greenhouse gas emission when compared to the driving process, right? That means if we want to reduce the amount of the greenhouse gas emission during the driving process, maybe we have to design the new, it's like a approved, like a improvement about our products. It's like maybe we have to change the engine or like make the new design, something like that. It's maybe it's change from like the fuel to use like oil for fuels and shift to like electricity car, something like that. Maybe dwelling use, maybe electric car maybe consume the energy and reduce greenhouse gas, maybe lower than the originals engines, right? That's use the oil, something like that. And after we know this graph, we can know like if we want to design the new product, we have to focus on like the like dwelling the focus on like a dwelling use, right? Not like a resort, not the manufacturing process, not disposal process. Maybe if we look at this, the disposal process impact is quite low impacts, right? From the car, something like this. When compared to the driving process, after we know the result of LCA, we can apply for our business like this. And also, if we know about compare between the computers product in two types of the computers, something like this, you can know during use also, it can consume a lot of the energy and also produce the greenhouse gas emission during use process. And for the manufacturing also, during produce the computers, maybe consume a lot of the energy or like environmental resources and produce about of a lot of the greenhouse gas emission. Maybe if you want to design a new product, maybe you can focus on like during the manufacturing and during uses step. It's like this. And also the benefits of LCA. After we know the process of LCA, we can use the many benefits from the LCA. Like the first, as I said, is like a comparison between the products. We can if you want to know about your product and others company is the same products, right? How different about the impact of the environmental impact. Nowadays, you will see some products, right? They have some like a carbon footprint, like a carbon number, like a carbon dioxide emission or carbon footprint of the product stamp on their products, right? Maybe the customer, if they look at on the products, right? Maybe they can compare some other product or which one you want that you want to choose which one, something like that. Which one is like low impact on environment and which one is like a high impact on the environment, but the same function or the the same quality, something like that. And this is also show the comparison between the products, which one is would you choose, right? Maybe if you want to compare, if you want to buy 1 liter of the milk, right? What kind of the package that you want to choose, something like this, the same brand or like the same products and same taste and same ingredient, but it's different only the package. You can know which one is like a low impact or high impact based on analyze of the LCAs, right? If you look at like this, maybe you will think the plastic buttons, right? Maybe it's like high impact on the environment. This is that you think, right? But if you do the LCA, you will know the glass is made from the natural resources. What kind of the natural resources to make the the glass bottom, something like this. And also, after use, maybe which one is can recycling, like a 100 recycling, and also some kind of the product it cannot recycling, something like that. If you look at your eye, maybe you cannot answer, right? But you have to do the LCA. You can answer which one is the best for the environment. And also this is show, if you look at it, the plastic bottom and aluminum can, which one is the best for the environment? Nowadays, we know the impact of the plastic waste, right? Maybe if we look at like this, maybe we will think about the plastic bottom, maybe the high impact on the environment. No, the plastic maybe is not high impact, uh, not 100, not exactly, right? Just the compare. But if you want to compare, please compare in the same function, like and same products, right? Like if you want to compare like a 1 liter of the plastic bottom, the aluminum can should be calculated based on like a 1 liter. Also, maybe it needs like a two cans, right? It's compared to like a one plastic bottom, because the function we want to drink like a 1 liter, right? We have to compare in the same function and same unit, right? From this information, is winner is like the plastic bottoms, right? They says about like a less greenhouse gas emission when compared to aluminum can. Don't focus only the during the after use, like the disposal process, right? No, if you think only the solid waste, maybe you answer like the plastic bottles, right? But to make aluminum can maybe consume a lot of energy, consume a lot of during the processing to make the can, something like this. Maybe it's consume a lot of environmental resources and high impact. And also this issue like a nice packaging material for drinks container were compared using LCA. If you want to compare, as I said, you have to compare in the same unit. For example, like the basics of the comparison, 1 liter, something like this, and different kind of the packaging and plastic, and also steel can, aluminum can, glass board box, and also liquid paper board, something like this. And also after that, this is show the result of the LCA result of the nice products, right? You can see If you look at the information from the LCA from like the cradle to the grave, right? From cradle to grave, you can see maybe you will love the plastic, right? But depend on your focus or like a which process. Maybe if we concerned about like the less impact of the plastic based on the LCA, but don't forget uh, maybe you use aluminum can, only one cans, right? Uh, for the solid, if you want to know how much of the composition of the solid waste, right? Maybe the plastic waste maybe 80% in 100%, aluminum can only 20%, something like that. That means it's high amount of the waste pollution from the waste production from the plastic. Maybe it's uh, low impact but high numbers. Maybe it's if we multiply, maybe it can cause of like a huge impact from the plastic waste, right? But if we look at in like a small units, like a small function, it's like a only 1 liter, something like this. Maybe when compared to other product, maybe the plastic is better than the glass, aluminum can or steel can, something like that. And also depend on your focus. You can look at like the symbol in different colors, right? If you focus on like the global warming and climate change, something like that, maybe uh, you can focus on like others uh, 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 focus on like the plastics, right? But if you want to know about the carcinogen, like calcine, that means carcinogen, right? The carcinogen you can see during the process to make the aluminum can, maybe it can high impact from like the carcinogens, right? But nowadays we know the impact of plastic it can be carcinogen also, right? But when compared to the same unit of the aluminum, for example, like a 1 gram of plastic and 1 gram of aluminum, maybe it can cause of the carcinogen of the aluminum higher than the plastic, something like this. This is that mean like the interpretation process. We have to know and choose some point of the LCA result to improve your product or to design your product for the environment also. And for the comparison between the process or method, is also can use the maybe the same products, but they have some different process or different technology, something like that. And also the end of life, maybe original management like the landfilling, incineration, something like that, and recycling process. Maybe we can compare. This is show like the modeling of the recycling in LCAs, right? This is like the plastic bottom. Normally, if we use like the normal original process, it's like extraction, right? Production, manufacturing, and use like a service, right? And end of life, and then just finish for the LCAs, right? But you can get like the one uh, the the result of the LCA is like maybe if we look at like a global warming potential, maybe 1,000 kilograms, 1,000 kilogram of the carbon dioxide equivalent, something like that. But if this product don't go to the end of life, right, and maybe like a remanufacture by recycling process, right? Maybe it can reduce the amount of original resource, right? It cannot save on this process, but it can save the extract of the raw material and production materials, right? We can save this process. Maybe if we add the plastic bottom into the manufacturing, maybe 20% of the original, maybe we use the original plastic 80% and use the recycling plastic 20%. We can calculate make some scenario. If we replace the original product or original material 20%, how the impact reduce. And also for the other scenario, if we add 50%, like half, how impact is can reduce on how much of reduction about the impact, something like that. This is why the LCA is can use the result of LCA to apply for the to design the product or manufacturing process. Is many kind of benefit from the LCA. And also this is show like the life cycle energy assessment. If we forget the energies, right? If we look at this process, like during this step, we use the energy input, during the input, right? This is we focus on like the global warming potentials, right? We have to know about the emissions. And also this is like the scenarios, right? The scenario to reduce, compare the reference like original production and recycling system. You can see if there are like case about the recycling system. The second, maybe my home is back out. The gigajoule of the energy consumption is reduced, right? From the 55 to 45, about like a reduce by 20%. This is like the benefit of LCA. If we know, maybe we can answer about the recycling systems, right? If this is maybe based on like the 20% of recycling, it can reduce 20% of energy consumption, something like that. And if we increase the percent of recycling process, maybe 50%, maybe it can reduce like 50% of the energy consumption, something like that. Based on LCA, we will get the information of the numbers that we can claim our products, right? And also before we get the guarantee for the labels, like an eco label, we have to show the process of LCA. And this is show like the LCA, the use of LCA to evaluate management of the plastic waste. You can see this graph like the 100 virgin materials, right? You can see we follow this graph, right? And also the greenhouse gas emission is quite high, right? But if we make some like more recycling, maybe like if we substitute of the original like a virgin material by recycled material 100%, you can see the greenhouse gas reduction is reduced, right? Maybe the greenhouse gas emission not only maybe during the make some material for the to prepare the materials, right? To prepare the resource of the material, maybe we can save on that process, right? If the emission quite high in this process, right? The first step for the extraction of the material. That means we can reduce the amount of the greenhouse gas based on the recycling process, right? You can see from this graph, if you use the 100% for the recycling material, the greenhouse gas is reduced, and also like the minus, right? Minus, that means like a low carbon impact, low global warming emission, but sometimes that product it can how to say make some like not only the neutral carbon but lower than it's like we make some painting it can absorb the carbon dioxide, something like that. And if we use the recycling, maybe if we can substitute in like 100%, maybe the emission is like lower and lower. Maybe it's like we can get the more benefit from recycling process, right? This is just show like use the LCA to evaluate management of the plastic waste. And also for the other benefit of the LCA in the product development and improvement, that's I said sometimes if we know which step is can cause of environmental impact, we can choose that process, and also maybe depend on our product. Maybe we can have some, we can improve the product by like clean design or eco design, something like that. This is show like the UNEP eco strategy wheels product life cycle. The first like the selection of low impact material. If your product original material is like the raw material is like produce like a high impact of the environment, maybe we can think about this by select the low impact, use like a non-hazardous material or like a recycle and substitute by the original product original material by the recycled material, something like that, and also reduction of the material. Sometimes we can reduce some amount or like a reduction in the weight of the material, something like that. It also is can one strategy to improve the product's life cycle and optimization of production technique. Is sometimes we can use like a different technique but the same product. Maybe it can reduce also the efficient distribution system. Maybe we have to think about maybe like the packaging or like less and clean packaging, something like that, and also reduction of the environment impact on the user state. Design the product for save the energy. It's like a refrigerator. You can see the symbol in like the refrigerators, right? Or some electronic product, something like that. We have stamp like the number 1, 2, 3, number 3, number 4, number 5, something like that. We know if stamp in number 5 is like more save the energy, something like that. That means if you want the products during the usage step, right? Low consume like a low energy. That means you have to design your product to save the energy first, right? After the customer use, it can reduce the amount of energy consumption also. Maybe the original you pay like the refrigerator pay like 100 baht per month for electricity, right? But if new design or eco design maybe consume only 50 baht, like reduce 50%, something like that. And also the optimization of the initial lifetime. Lifetime is also very important for the design product. If you extend the lifetime, maybe the original product is can use like 1 year. If you can extend the products lifetime the product 2 year or 3 year, maybe it can reduce the amount of the final process. It's like a end of life also. The end of life depend on the method that we use, we select, right? Incineration or recycling or like the landfilling, something like that, depend on the design. You can compare the LCA in different process. And this is also show the product improvement about the product through the product life cycle. Like this, normally the original use the water 13 liters, right? But the new original is can reduce 68%, nearly 70%. It can use the water or only like 4.8 liter, something like this for flushing. This is just show like the new design for like the product use the information of the LCA to improve your product, something like this. And also for the communication, but it's like you can communicate to the customer by the label or like environmental declare something like this. Based on the ISO 14,000 series, right? If you use like the type 2 for the assessment, you just show like input, output, and the impact, but not whole process like from the cradle to grave. Maybe you can get the guarantee only type 1. You can get the stamp like this. The green label in Thailand, something like this, and also type 2. The ISO series, other ISO series, it can claim like your product is like eco-friendly or it's like it can compostable, something like that, and not access like all process of the LCA. Maybe only the gate to gate or cattle to gate, something like that. Maybe you can get like only the type 2. But if you want to like the eco label is like a high certificate, right? In type T of this ISO, you can use like the LCA to assess your product. If you can show from the cradle to the grave on your product, it's like a low impact on the environment. You can get the guarantee of like the high level of your product, and you can get the stamp of like the high eco label stamp on your product, something like this. And also this is show like the Thai teas, right? You have to claim your product by show the information about life cycle state, and also the inventory analysis and impact assessment based on like a full assessment of the LCA from the cradle to the grave. You can get the guarantee in like high labels like this. And this is show like a eco label and green label in various countries, right? But in this symbol, not only use the not guarantee in like the Thai teas, right? Maybe this symbol is based on like only Taiwan, Thai 2, and also some country is Thai teas, right? If you want to more information, you can find from the internet, right? To find that in each country they have like an eco label and green label. Green label that means only Taiwan, Thai 2, right? But if eco labels, it's Thai tea, something like this. And also the other benefit is like a policy. After you know the life cycle of your product, maybe is the government, they can use this information to decide the policy or decide like the label or the grade of the label, something like that, to make the policy about the the product life cycle. The benefit of the LCA on the policy, like sometimes it's for like a decision making, like a life balance between economic, social, and environment. Sometimes we think only the economics, right, to produce the products, but sometimes we don't concern about the environment or the social. But if you use the LCA to assess your product life cycle, maybe you can answer for like an environmental impact. That is maybe the customer or the government, they think about this for make some decision to for the industry, or make some other standard for the products or the good or bad on the environment, something like that. And also it's for the certificate also. And the management policy or like life cycle management, like the raw material transportation or like all process, and also the recycling process. And nowadays, that's I ever talks about like the circular economy for the plastic waste or other waste in Thailand, right? And also they use this information for the recycling process also. But some kind of waste, why they don't want to make some recycling? Because during the recycling process, maybe consume a lot of the energy consumption and produce a lot of environmental impact, something like that. When compared to the original material, something like that, maybe the recycling process not appropriate for some product. You have to use information to make some policies, right? And also the environmental tax. Uh, the LCA maybe it can show like show about the high like the government it can decide like to calculate about the tax charge from the product based on information of the LCA. It's like an environmental cost. If high impact, maybe high tax charge, right? And also if low impact, maybe they have some like they get award or like the low tax from the government, something like that. This is like the benefits of the LCA based on like the policy terms, right? And okay, for today is the content app I want to talk about like the life cycle assessment, why important for the waste management, because we have to know like the original materials, right, until the end of their life. Is why the LCA is related to the solid waste management that I want to show you today about this concept. Okay, do you have any question about the life cycle assessment? Okay, okay, just a second. May I make some capture? Okay, Okay, if you okay for the final exam. Oh no final exam for this subject, and also for the next class, I will show you about your score. Who missed some assignment, please contact me. Okay, if you miss some assignment, maybe it can affect or like your grade. If you miss one or two time, maybe you cannot get A. Maybe you can get only B plus or B, something like that. Okay, I will show you maybe who want you want to about which one is you miss, right? Which assignment, something like that. And also you can check by yourself. You can go to the assignment and in Microsoft Teams and check you are already submitted in time, something like that. You can check by yourself. If you submit, you know by yourself. I think. And also, okay, if you don't have questions, see you on next week. And thank you very much for today. Okay. Okay, may I start stop the recording?